You know what's funny? For years, the press have mocked Harry and Meghan for quitting. They were branded dramatic, ungrateful, and weak. But if you fast forward to today, suddenly everyone's saying the same thing. Thank God they left when they did. Because let's be honest, the latest Windsor scandal isn't just ugly, it's actually radioactive. There's another round of allegations, another palace PR blackout, and another round of no comment. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan are in Montecito. They're literally drinking their green juice and they are building their own empire. That is not luck. I believe that is foresight, because they saw the rot before the rest of us, especially Harry. People forget that Harry was born and lived amongst these people. And although it took an outsider coming in for him to finally make the move that he's wanted to make since he was 17, I am so glad that he saw that the lies, the manipulation, and the casual cruelty had no place in the life he wanted to build with Meghan. And I'm glad he and Meghan said, you know what? No more. We are going. And now, watching from a distance, it feels like they escaped a sinking ship before it hit the iceberg. Not because they're perfect, but because they chose peace over protocol, freedom over a facade. And it's not just survival, it's strategy. And people may call it rebellion. I call it extreme emotional intelligence, and I call it strategy. They didn't just walk away from royalty, they walked towards themselves. So yeah, I am so glad they got the hell out of there, and I'm so glad they're thriving. But
When Harry and Meghan announced they were stepping back as senior royals, the world was stunned. The news rippled across continents, dominating headlines and sparking heated debates in living rooms, newsrooms, and on social media. For many, it was unthinkable. How could a prince, born into centuries of tradition, choose to walk away? And why now, at a time when the monarchy seemed to need unity more than ever? The press quickly dubbed the event Megxit, a play on Brexit, and pointed fingers at Meghan, blaming her for luring Harry away from duty and tradition. Overnight, she became a lightning rod for criticism, with commentators dissecting her every word and gesture. Headlines painted them as selfish and ungrateful, their motives endlessly dissected. The couple's desire for a different life was twisted into a narrative of betrayal, as if their personal happiness was an affront to the nation. Their wish for privacy was mocked, their every move twisted by tabloids. Even their most mundane outings became fodder for speculation and judgment, fueling a relentless cycle of scrutiny. The public was fed a narrative of betrayal, as if seeking peace was a crime. Conversations everywhere echoed the headlines, with opinions sharply divided. Some saw them as brave, others as deserters. But with time, it's become clear that their decision was about more than just leaving royal duties. They were trying to protect their mental health and family from a relentless machine that showed no signs of stopping. In North America, away from the royal spotlight, they found moments of peace and normalcy that had long eluded them. The very press that hounded them became their harshest judge for wanting to escape. The irony was lost on few. Those who demanded their presence were the same who drove them away. What if their departure was an act of self-preservation, not rebellion? What if, instead of turning their backs on duty, they were choosing a healthier, more sustainable path for themselves and their son? What if it was about finding a more authentic way to serve, one that allowed them to use their platform for causes they truly believed in, free from the constraints of royal protocol? In the end, they made a brave choice, to leave before the storm consumed them. Their journey is a reminder that sometimes the most courageous act is to step away, to protect what matters most, and to forge a new path, even when the world is watching. Fast forward to 2025, the royal family finds itself engulfed in a storm of uncertainty and upheaval. The once unshakable walls of Buckingham Palace now seem to echo with whispers of doubt and anxiety as the world watches with bated breath. Scandals erupt with alarming frequency, health scares dominate the headlines, and a growing sense of public mistrust has shaken the very foundation of the monarchy. The royal family, once a symbol of stability, now faces relentless scrutiny from every direction. The age-old mantra of never complain, never explain now appears less like dignified restraint and more like a dangerous form of denial. The silence that once protected the crown now threatens to isolate it from the people it serves. The departure of Harry and Meghan wasn't the spark that started the fire, but rather a glaring symptom of deeper dysfunction simmering beneath the surface. Their decision to step back was a warning sign, ignored by many. In many ways, they were the canaries in the coal mine, sensitive to the toxicity within palace walls, and brave enough to act before it was too late. Their unease was a reflection of problems that had long been festering. Inside the palace, an obsession with maintaining a flawless image, a lack of transparency, and bitter internal rivalries have only intensified. Staff move with urgency, while the press office struggles to control the narrative. Recent controversies, from manipulated photographs to mishandled health updates, have exposed a system in disarray. Each new scandal chips away at the public's trust, revealing cracks that can no longer be hidden. Harry and Meghan saw the iceberg looming ahead. Rather than go down with a sinking ship, they chose survival, forging a new path in search of peace and purpose far from the palace's shadow. The chaos that engulfs the palace today is proof that the problems were always bigger than just two people leaving. The monarchy's crisis is a reckoning years in the making, and its future now hangs in the balance. Let's take a closer look at the two very different worlds Harry and Meghan have experienced, the one they left behind, and the one they've worked so hard to create for themselves. On one side, there's the world of royalty, and on the other, a life they've built from the ground up in California, filled with laughter, sunlight, and a sense of ease that was once out of reach. Royal life brought immense privilege, castles, ceremonies, and global attention. But it also came with suffocating protocol, endless rules, and the relentless gaze of the public and the press. Every gesture was scrutinized, every word dissected by tabloids, and every smile or frown became a headline. Privacy was a luxury they could rarely afford. Their family wasn't just a family, it was an institution, and their home felt more like a stage than a sanctuary. In California, they've traded protocol for purpose. Now, they focus on raising their children in an environment filled with normalcy, freedom, and the simple joys of everyday life, something they never truly had before. Through their Archewell Foundation, they champion causes close to their hearts, from mental health awareness to women's empowerment, using their voices to make a real difference. For the first time, they speak for themselves, define their own careers, and choose which challenges to take on, free from the expectations of the crown. The contrast is striking, from being managed to being in control, from living out assigned roles to embracing authentic, self-directed lives. They gave up their royal titles and the privileges that came with them, but in return, they gained something far more valuable: the freedom to be themselves, to walk their own path, and to make choices based on their own values. Their new life isn't perfect, and it comes with its own set of challenges, but it's a life they've chosen together. A life built on love, purpose, and the freedom to write their own story. Royal strength was once measured by endurance, staying, sacrificing, never wavering. Harry and Meghan redefined it. Sometimes, true strength is knowing when to walk away. Their decision wasn't weakness, but emotional intelligence and self-preservation. Harry, shaped by his mother's fate, refused to let history repeat with Meghan. They chose family and mental health over inherited roles. It takes wisdom to ignore the noise and listen to your own truth. Their departure was a strategic retreat, not surrender, a new kind of royal courage. True strength is setting boundaries and prioritizing well-being. They showed you can honor your heritage without sacrificing your soul. The monarchy's power depends on a flawless image, but at what cost? When Harry and Meghan spoke out about mental health and racism, the palace chose silence to protect the brand. Problems were buried, not solved. Truth was inconvenient. The recent photo editing scandal exposed the dangers of prioritizing image over honesty. Manipulating reality backfired, eroding public trust more than any imperfection could. In the age of social media, people crave authenticity, not perfection. When the palace hides the truth, speculation and mistrust fill the void. Harry and Meghan's crime was honesty. They refused to uphold the illusion. Their story revealed the high cost of keeping up appearances. The British press's double standard has been glaring. Harry and Meghan's every move was criticised, often with racial and misogynistic undertones. Meanwhile, serious scandals involving other royals received softer coverage. The press protected the institution, not the individuals. When the palace needed privacy, the media obliged, something denied to the Sussexes. This hypocrisy distorts reality, making minor choices seem scandalous while downplaying real issues. Harry and Meghan weren't just fighting bad press, they were up against a system invested in their villainy. Their experience forces us to question why some royals are shielded while others are scapegoated. This isn't a story of quitting, it's a story of courage. Harry and Meghan chose purpose over protocol, building a life on their own terms. Through Archewell, they champion causes and use their voices for change. Their memoirs and documentaries weren't revenge, they were reclaiming their narrative. They showed millions the power of speaking your truth and living authentically. Their journey proves fulfillment comes from living by your values, not titles or applause. They chose peace, authenticity, and self-respect over a crown. Their legacy is one of empowerment, not abdication. You are the author of your own story. Harry and Meghan remind us all of that. The greatest throne is the one you build for yourself.
To all my amazing and curious Sussex family, thank you all for watching our videos, and do not forget to subscribe, like, and put a comment. Bye bye. See you in our next episode. Bye.